हरे कृष्णा। आज की everyone is welcome for the morning Bhagavatam class. Jaya Radha Madhava Kunja Bihari, Jaya Radha Madhava Kunja Bihari, Jaya Gopijana Vallabha, Jaya Girivaradhari, Jaya Gopijana Vallabha, Jaya Girivaradhari, Yashodanandana Braja Janaranjana, Yashodanandana Braja Janaranjana, Yashodanandana Braja Janaranjana, Yamuna Tiravanachari, Yamuna Tiravanachari, Jaya Radha Madhava Kunja Bihari, Jaya Radha Madhava Kunja Bihari. Hare Krishna, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare, Hare Krishna, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare, Hare Krishna, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare, Hare Krishna, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Ram, Ram Ram, Hare Hare, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare, Jaya Gauranitai, 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 Jaya Gauranitai, Jaya Jaya Prabhupada, 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 Prabhupada. Hare Krishna Mahamantra ki jai, Jai Srila Prabhupada ki jai. Golokera Premadan Harinam Sankirtan ki jai. So today's verse is from Shrimad Bhagavatam, 7th canto, entitled The Science of God, chapter 2, and shlok number is 12. Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya. Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya. Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya. Narayanam namaskritya naram chaiva narottamam devim saraswatim vyasam tato jayamudiraye. Shrunvatam svakatha krishnaha punyashravana kirtanaha Ridyantasto hi abhadrani vidunoti surutsatam Nashtaprayeshu abhadreshu nityam bhagavata sevaya bhagavati uttama shloke bhaktir bhavati nashtiki tadarajastamo bhava kama lobhadayaschaye chetaetair anaviddham sthitam sattve prasidati evam prasanna manaso bhagavad bhakti yogataha Bhagavad Tattva Vijnana Mukta Sangasya Jayate Vidyate Hridaya Granthis Chidyante Sarva Samshayaha Chiyante Chasya Karmani Drashta Evatmanishvare. So we are studying today 7th canto, chapter number 2, entitled The Science of God, and shlok verse number is 12. Yatra yatra dvijagavo vedavarna shramakriyaha tam tam janapadam yata Sandipayat vrushyata. Yatra yatra dvijagavo veda varnashamakriyaha tam tam janapadam yata sandipayat vrushyata. Yatra yatra dvijagavo veda varnashamakriyaha tam tam janapadam yata sandipayat vrushyata. Synonyms and translation by His Divine Grace Abhay Charana Arvind Bhakti Vedanta Swami Srila Prabhupada. Word to word meaning: Yatra yatra, wherever, Dvijaha, the Brahmanas, Gavaha, the protected cows, Vedaha, the Vedic culture, Varna Ashrama, of the Aryan civilization of 4 Varnas and 4 ashramas. Kriyaha, the activities, tam tam, that, Janapadam, to the city or town, Yata, go, Sandipayat, set fire, Vrishchata, cut down all the trees. translation and purport by His Divine Grace, Abhay Charanaravindha Bhaktivedanta Swami Srila Prabhupada. Immediately go wherever there is good protection for the cows and brahmanas, and wherever the Vedas are studied in terms of the Varnashram principles. Set fire to those places and cut from the roots the trees there, which are the source of life. Purport. The picture of a proper human civilization is indirectly described here. In a perfect human civilization, there must be a class of men fully trained as perfect Brahmanas. Similarly, there must be Kshatriyas to rule the country very nicely, according to the injunctions of the Shastras. And there must be Vaishyas who can protect the cows. The word Gavaha indicates that cows should be given protection. Because the Vedic civilization is lost, cows are not protected, but instead indiscriminately killed in slaughterhouses. Such are the acts of demons. Therefore, this is a demoniac civilization. The Varnashram Dharma mentioned here is essential for human civilization. Unless there is a Brahman to guide, a Kshatriya to rule perfectly, and a perfect Vaishya to produce food and protect the cows, how will people live peacefully? It is impossible. Another point is that trees also should be given protection. During its lifetime, a tree shouldn't be cut for industrial enterprises. In Kali Yuga, trees are indiscriminately and unnecessarily cut for industry, in particular for paper mills that manufacture a profuse quantity of paper for the publication of demoniac propaganda, nonsensical literature, huge quantities of newspapers, and many other paper products. This is a sign of a demoniac civilization. The cutting of trees is prohibited unless necessary for the service of Lord Vishnu. Yajnarthat karmano anyatra loko ayam karma bandhanaha. Work done as a sacrifice for Lord Vishnu must be performed. Otherwise, work binds one to this material world. But if the paper mills stop producing paper, one may argue, how can our ISKCON literature be published? The answer is that the paper mills should manufacture paper only for the publication of ISKCON literature, because ISKCON literature is published for the service of Lord Vishnu. This literature clarifies our relationship with Lord Vishnu, and therefore the publication of ISKCON literature is the performance of yajna. Yajnarthat karmano anyatra lokoyam ayam karma bandhanaha. Yajna must be performed as indicated by the superior authorities. The cutting of trees simply to manufacture paper for the publication of unwanted literature is the greatest sinful act. Yatra yatra dvija gavo veda varna shramakriyaha tam tam janapadam yata sandipayat rushchata. Immediately go wherever there is good protection for the cows and brahmanas, and wherever the Vedas are studied in terms of the Varnashram principles. Set fire to those places, cut from the roots the trees there, which are the source of life. Om ज्ञानाञ्जनशलाकया ज्ञानाञ्जनशलाकया चक्षुरुन्मिलितं येन तस्मै श्रीगुरुवे नमः। मूकं करोति वाचालं पङ्गुं लङ्घयते गिरिं यत्कृपातमहं वन्दे श्रीगुरुदीनतारिणं। श्रीचैतन्यमनोऽभीष्टं स्थापितं येन भूतले स्वयं रूपः कदा मह्यं ददाति स्वपदान्तिकं। वन्दे अहं श्रीगुरो श्रीयुतपदकमलं श्रीगुरून् वैष्णवांश्च श्रीरूपं साग्रजातं सहगणरघुनाथान्वितं तं सजीवं साद्वैतं सावधूतं परिजनासहितं कृष्णचैतन्यदेवं श्रीराधाकृष्णपादान् सहगणललिता श्रीविशाखान्वितांश्च। नमो ॐ विष्णुपादाय कृष्णप्रेष्ठाय भूतले श्रीमते भक्तिवेदान्तस्वामिन् इति नामिने। नमस्ते सारस्वते देवे गौरवाणी प्रचारिणे निर्विशेषशून्यवादी पाश्चात्यदेशतारिणे। हे कृष्ण करुणा सिन्धु दीनबन्धो जगत्पते गोपेश गोपिका कान्त राधा कान्त नमोऽस्तुते। तप्त कांचन गौरांगी राधे वृंदावनेश्वरी वृषभानुसुते देवी प्रणमामि हरिप्रिये। वाञ्छाकल्पतरुभ्यश्च कृपा सिन्धुभ्य एव च पतितानां पावनेभ्यो वैष्णवेभ्यो नमो नमः। नमो महावदान्याय कृष्णप्रेमप्रदायते कृष्णाय कृष्णचैतन्यनाम्ने गौरत्विषे नमः। श्रीकृष्ण चैतन्य प्रभु नित्यानंद श्री अद्वैत गदाधर श्रीवासादि गौरभक्तवृंद। हरे कृष्णा 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 हरे 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 राम 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 हरे हरे। हरे कृष्णा 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 हरे 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 राम 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 हरे हरे। हरे कृष्णा 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 हरे 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 राम 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 हरे हरे। So in this shloka, as we saw in the last chapter, first chapter of the 7th canto, Narad Muni is answering the questions by Srila Yudhishthir Maharaj, and Shukadev Goswami is answering the questions put by Maharaj Parikshit. So in this way, how Yudhishthir Maharaj asks Srila Narad Muni, how can a son, how can a father be so hateful towards his own son? And Narad Muni is answering Yudhishthir Maharaj's questions. And now Hiranyakashipu got very angry when Hiranyaksh, his brother, was killed by Lord Vishnu in the form of Varahadev. So he now is very angry on Lord Vishnu, and he orders his his ministers, asur ministers, to destroy the varnashram dharma. So in this shloka, how demons destroy varnashram dharma, and it's shown here. And first of all, he Hiranyakashipu orders his corporate ministers immediately go wherever there is good protection for the cows, because the whole varnashram system is based on cow protection and brahmanas. So he is targeting those roots of the Vedic culture and varnashram dharma. And he also sets fire to orders to set fire all the trees, and wherever there is because of trees yagyas could be performed. And this incident happened in Satyayuga, and we see in Kali Yuga no one performs yagya. Kalau Shudra Sambhavaha, and everyone is more or less a demon in this Kali Yuga. Prayena alpa ayushaha sabhya kalau asmin yuge janaha manda sumanda matayoho manda bhagya hi upadrutaha. So in Kali Yuga, our lives are very short, memory is lost, and there is no one is fortunate enough to understand Krishna's plan or yagya. No one is able to perform yagya. There were various yagyas for various yugas. Krite yadhyayato Vishnum, Tretayam yajato makai, Dwapare paricharyayam, Kalau tad hari kirtanat. So in Kali Yuga, only Harinam Sankirtan, which is propagated widely by ISKCON society, that is the only way to survive in Kali Yuga. And Kaler dosho nidhe rajan astihi ek mahan gun kirtana deva krishnasya mukta sanga param rajay. So Kali Yuga is ocean of faults. No one can, no, there are no brahmanas, and there are no able kshatriyas also. And Krishna says in Bhagavad Gita, Lord Krishna has established varna chatur varnyam maya srushtam gunakarma vibhagashaha tasya kartaram apimam vidhi akartaram avyayam. So Lord Krishna has established this varnashram system to live happily in this material world and go back home, back to Godhead by performing those our duties perfectly. And Chaitanya Mahaprabhu also recommended 500 years ago this Harinam, very easy process to perform yagya in Kali Yuga. Harer Nama, Harer namayva kevalam kalav nasti eva nasti eva nasti eva gatiranyata. So this is the easiest process in this Kali Yuga to go back home, back to Godhead, and to perfect our human life and live happily and peacefully in this life also, and go after death we can go back home, back to Godhead by performing this simple yajna in Kali Yuga. So, how demons destroy? The Vedic culture is represented by Hiranyakashipu and his associates. So, in Bhagavad Gita also, in the 16th chapter, Lord Krishna elaborately describes how what are the qualities of demoniac society and demoniac people. So in Bhagavad Gita, let us see how they display their qualities, develop their qualities, and try to destroy this Vedic culture or Varnashram Dharma. In 16th chapter, detailed discussion is made about this Asura or demoniac qualities. Dambho, Darpo, Abhimanascha, Krodha, Parushyam, Evacha, Ajnanam cha Abhijatasya, Partha Sampadam Asurim. So, Lord Krishna is describing qualities of Asuras to Arjuna. Pride, arrogance, conceit, anger, harshness, and ignorance. These qualities belong to those of demoniac nature, O son of Pritha. So, Prabhupada says in the purport, in this verse the royal road to hell is described. So, how the demons go to hell and make a royal road to go there is described in this verse. The demoniac want to make a show of religion and advancement in spiritual science, although they do not follow the principles. So Hiranyakashipu was also he was very intelligent, and he knew all the rules and regulations, and he also knew that Lord Vishnu is the supreme authority. Still he says one thing and does the other things. They are always arrogant and are proud in possessing some type of education or so much wealth. They may have so much wealth and education. They are very learned and educated. They desire to be worshipped by others and demand respectability, although they do not command respect. Over trifles they become very angry and speak harshly, not gently. They do not know what should be done and what shouldn't be done. They do everything whimsically according to their own desire, and they do not recognize any authority These demoniac qualities are taken on by them from the beginning of their bodies in the wombs of their mothers, and as they grow, they manifest all these inauspicious qualities. And in next sloka, their qualities are more elaborately described. O son of Pritha, in this world there are two kinds of created beings. One is called divine and the other demoniac. I have already explained to you at length the divine qualities. Now hear from me the demoniac. So one criteria is there, one who obeys the regulative principles of scriptures is Daiva, or he is godly, and one who doesn't want to follow regulative principles, he is a demon. There are only two types of people in this world. Pavitram cha pravrittim cha nivrittim cha jana na vidur asuraha na shaucham na api cha acharo na satyam teshu vidyate. Those who are demoniac do not know what is to be done and what is not to be done. Neither cleanliness nor proper behavior nor truth is found in them. Asatyam apratishtham te jagad ahur anishwaram aparaspara sambhutam kim anyat kam ahaitukam kam ahaitukam. They say that this world is unreal, with no foundation, no God in control. They say it is produced of sex desire and has no cause other than lust. The demoniac conclude that the world is phantasmagoria. There is no cause and effect, no controller, no purpose. Everything is unreal. They say that this cosmic manifestation arises due to chance material actions and reactions. They don't think that the world was created by God for a certain purpose. Although the demons say that life is a dream, they are very expert in enjoying this dream, and so instead of acquiring knowledge, they become more and more implicated in their dreamland. They conclude that as a child is simply the result of sexual intercourse between man and woman, this world is born without any soul. Etam drishtim avastabhya nashtatmano alpabuddhayah prabhavanti ugra karmanah chayaya jagato ahitaha. Following such conclusions, the demoniac, who are lost to themselves and who have no intelligence, engage in unbeneficial, horrible works meant to destroy the world. They try to enjoy this material world to the utmost limit, and therefore always engage in inventing something for sense gratification. Taking shelter of insatiable lust and absorbed in the conceit of pride and false prestige, the demoniac, thus illusioned, are always sworn to unclean work, attracted by the impermanent. The demons have no satiation for their lust. they will go on increasing and increasing their insatiable desires for material enjoyment. Although they are always full of anxieties on account of accepting non-permanent things, they still continue to engage in such activities out of illusion. They have no knowledge and cannot tell that they are heading the wrong way. And 11th and 12th shloka also, their qualities are elaborately described. Chintam aparimeyam cha pralayantam upashritaha kama upabhoga parama etavad iti nishchitaha asha pasha shatair baddha kama krodha parayanaha ihante kama bhogartham anyayenartha sanchayan. They believe that to gratify the senses is the prime necessity of human civilization. Thus, until the end of their life, their anxiety is immeasurable, bound by a network of hundreds of thousands of desires and absorbed in lust and anger. They secure money by illegal means for sense gratification. Then again, the demoniac person thinks, so much wealth do I have today, and I will gain more according to my schemes. So much is mine now, and it will increase in the future more and more. He is my enemy, and I have killed him, and my other enemies will also be killed. I am the Lord of everything. I am the enjoyer. I am perfect, powerful and happy. I am the richest man, surrounded by aristocratic relatives. There is none so powerful and happy as I am. I shall perform sacrifices, I shall give some charity, and thus I shall rejoice. In this way such persons are deluded by ignorance. The demoniac man knows अनेक चित्त विभ्रांता मोह जाल समावृताः प्रसक्ताः काम भोगेषु पतन्ति नरको अशुचौ. Thus perplexed by various anxieties and bound by a network of illusions, they become too strongly attached to sense enjoyment and fall down into hell. The demoniac man knows no limit to his desire to acquire money that is unlimited. He thinks only of how much assessment he has just now and schemes to engage that stock of wealth further and further. He doesn't know that whatever he is gaining is due to his past good deeds. He simply thinks that all his mass of wealth is due to his own endeavor. A demoniac person believes in the strength of his personal work, not in the law of karma. According to the law of karma, a man takes his birth in a high family, or becomes rich, or very well educated, or very beautiful because of good work in the past. Each demoniac person thinks that he can live at the sacrifice of all others. Generally, a demoniac person thinks of himself as the supreme God, and a demoniac preacher tells his followers, "Why are you seeking God elsewhere? You are all yourselves God. Whatever you like, you can do. Don't believe in God, throw away God. God is dead." These are the demoniac's preachings. आत्मसंभाविता स्तब्धा धनमानमदान्विताः यजन्ते नाम यज्ञास्ते दम्भेना विधिपूर्वकम्. Self-complacent and always impudent, deluded by wealth and false prestige, they sometimes proudly perform sacrifices in name only, without following any rules or regulations. Ahankaram balam darpam kamam krodham cha samsritaha mam atma parada deheshu pradvishanto abhyasuyakaha. Bewildered by false ego, strength, pride, lust and anger, the demons become envious of the Supreme Personality of Godhead, who is situated in their own bodies and in the bodies of others, and blaspheme against the real religion. A demoniac person, being always against God's supremacy, doesn't like to believe in the scriptures. He is envious of both the scriptures and the existence of the Supreme Personality of Godhead. This is caused by his so-called prestige and his accumulation of wealth and strength. He doesn't know that the present life is a preparation for the next life. Not knowing this, he is actually envious of his own self as well as of others. He commits violence on other bodies and on his own. He doesn't care for the supreme control of the personality of Godhead because he has no knowledge. Being envious of the scriptures and the supreme personality of Godhead, he puts forward false arguments against the existence of God and denies the scriptural authority. He thinks himself independent and powerful in every action. He thinks that since no one can equal him in strength, power or wealth, he can act in any way and no one can stop him. If he has an enemy who might check the advancement of his sensual activities, he makes plans to cut him down by his own power. So what happens to these demoniac persons is Lord Krishna is describing in further shlokas. Those who are envious and mischievous, who are the lowest among men, I perpetually cast into the ocean of material existence, into various demoniac species of life. So these demoniac people are so stubborn that they go to hell and lower species of life, birth after birth. Asurimyo attaining repeated birth amongst the species of demoniac life, O son of Kunti, such persons can never approach me. Gradually they sink down to the most abominable type of existence. There are 3 gates leading to this hell: lust, anger and greed. Every sane man should give these up, for they lead to the degradation of the soul. So how we can save ourselves from going deeper and deeper in lower species? How do we go is described in this verse. There are 3 gates to leading to hell: lust, anger and greed. The beginning of demoniac life is described herein. One tries to satisfy his lust, and when he cannot, anger and greed arise. A sane man who doesn't want to glide down to the species of demoniac life must try to give up these 3 enemies, which can kill the self to such an extent that there will be no possibility of liberation from this material entanglement. The man who has escaped these three gates of hell, O son of Kunti, performs acts conducive to self-realization and thus gradually attains supreme destination. So, to save ourselves from gliding down to hell is prescribed here in this 16th chapter. How demoniac people think and behave is also described, and how we can save ourselves from these qualities is prescribed in this last slokas. Last two slokas, Lord Krishna is now prescribing how we can go on a proper way, on the proper. Yah shastra vidhim utsrijya vartate kamakaratah na sa siddhim avapnoti na sukham na param gatim. In 23rd sloka of 16th chapter, Lord Krishna is describing, he who discards scriptural injunctions and acts according to his own whims attains neither perfection nor happiness nor the supreme destination. So, to follow Shastra is very important if we want to purify our life and perfect our human life, human form of life. But even if, and in the purport Prabhupada says, as described before, the Shastra Vidhi or the direction of the Shastra is given to the different castes and orders of human society. Everyone is expected to follow these rules and regulations. If one doesn't follow them and acts whimsically according to his lust, greed and desire, then he never will be perfect in his life. In other words, a man may theoretically know all these things, but if he doesn't apply them in his own life, then he is to be known as the lowest of mankind. In the human form of life, a living entity is expected to be sane and to follow the regulations given for elevating his life to the highest platform. But if he doesn't follow them, then he degrades himself. But even if he follows the rules and regulations and moral principles and ultimately doesn't come to the stage of understanding the Supreme Lord, then all his knowledge becomes spoiled. And even if he accepts the existence of God, if he doesn't engage himself in the service of the Lord, his attempts are spoiled. Therefore, one should gradually raise himself to the platform of Krishna consciousness and devotional service. It is then and there that he can attain the highest perfectional stage, not otherwise. The word Kamakaratah is very significant in this verse. A person who knowingly violates the rules acts in lust. He knows that this is forbidden, but still he acts. This is called acting whimsically. He knows that this should be done, but still he doesn't do it. Therefore he is called whimsical. So following scriptures and rules of the Vedas is very important in the human form of life. Athato Brahma Jidnyasa. In this human form of life only we can follow rules and regulations of the scriptures. And the last sloka of 16th chapter describes Tasmat Shastram Pramanam Te Karya Akarya Vyavasthitao Jnatva Shastra Vidhan Oktam Karma Kartum Ihar Hasi. One should therefore understand what is duty and what is not duty, by the regulations of the scriptures. Knowing such rules and regulations, one should act so that he may gradually be elevated. So very nicely Srila Prabhupada has given us in Bhagavad Gita how to perfect our human form of life. And fifth chapter of Bhagavad Gita, in the fifth chapter of the 29th verse, Lord Krishna gives a simple solution to be happy and peaceful. Formula is given: Bhoktaram yagya tapasam sarvaloka maheshwaram suhridam sarvabhutanam jnatva mam shantim ruchyati. Only when we understand that Krishna is the Lord of all the planets, He is guiding us, He is seated in every one's heart as Paramatma, and He is the friend of all living entities. These three simple things, if we understand, then we can perfect our lives. And in this shloka also, how book distribution or preaching is the essence, books are the basis. Prabhupada has given us four rules. Out of them books are the basis. So, basis of Krishna consciousness are the books, and if all the trees are cut for the literature, and most of the literature is trash and unnecessarily the trees are cut and wasted in profuse literature which is useless and which is leading us to hell. If we don't preach our Krishna consciousness movement, then we are also subject to go to hell and waste our human life in this way. So in this verse, last verse also, one Srila Madhvacharya quotes from Brahman Puran. The demons think that Hari or Lord Vishnu exists because of the Brahmanas and Yajna, but factually Hari is the cause of everything, including the Brahmanas and Yajnas. Therefore, by Hari Sankirtan or the Sankirtan movement, Brahman culture and the Kshatriya government will automatically come back and people will be extremely happy. So this without Brahmanas, just as our body is systematically made, there is head, there are hands, legs and belly. So unless we have head, there is no use of this body. Other three parts would not work. In the same way, modern society or Kali Yuga, everyone, Kalo Shudra Sambhava, Janmana Jayate Shudra, Samskarat Bhavet Dvija, Veda Pathat Bhavet Vipra, Brahma Janati iti Brahman. Unless we know Brahma, we cannot become Brahmanas. And without Brahmanas, this society is useless, headless society, as Prabhupada says. And if there is no guidance for Kshatriyas, from Brahmanas, the whole society becomes like dogs and cats, and animal society. And a group of dogs cannot live happily together. So in this way, we must spread this Sankirtan movement by distributing books. Prabhupada says, throw these books in the faces of voidists and impersonalists, and spread this movement. Otherwise we will be implicated in the mess of modern so-called modern civilization. So and these trees, Prabhupada says, trees should be cut only to make the paper and print these ISKCON books and distribute them. Then these trees also get liberated by when they are when the pages are made from them, and we print this ISKCON literature and distribute it. So let us help Prabhupada, and let us spread this movement of Srila Prabhupada, and let us go back home, back to Godhead, and take others also with us. Hare Krishna. Let us stop here. Thank you for listening peacefully, carefully. Hare Krishna.
Very